Right, good morning, grade 12s. Today we're going to be looking at what you've done so far and then a brief introduction to Road to Democracy. So I've sent you a photo of what I want to cover today. Maybe you want to first copy all that down so that you can follow as I'm going through everything. Or go with me, and as I'm busy explaining it, then you pause, copy it down. So here we go. Grade 12 history, new work, Road to Democracy. I did introduce it to you just before we ended school, and I showed you on the board how you make a poster with a road. At the top is the good stuff. That is negotiations and compromises. On the bottom is the bad stuff. So today, I first want us to do some reminders. Let's have a look at what we've done so far. We've done 2 source-based, 1 essay, and that's for informal assessment for your portfolio. We finished the project. We've done revision. So you've gone through your Cuba notes, you've gone through your civil rights movement, you've gone through your Black Power movement. For Black Power movement, I do need to come back and just go through a couple of things with you, but nothing too serious. Do include in your going through of these things your textbooks, your notes, and Nicola's notes that she sent through because they have lovely tips in them. And then also, I've said to you, make a civil rights movement poster where you include the who, what, where, so that you can learn from that poster. Right, so that's what we've done. Now, if you've got something there you haven't done yet, perhaps it's too soon for you to be watching this video. Maybe you should go back and make sure that all of that is done. If you're ready to continue, then what we are doing today is grade 12 history, Road to Democracy. And what I want to cover is the line of argument first. So if we have a look at the line of argument, then often the line of argument is the conflict and the violence. So any conflict that happens between 1990 to 1994 derails or stops or causes a problem that stops the negotiations from happening. Now, within the negotiations, there has to be compromise. It's a very difficult situation for the two sides involved. The ANC on the one side wants to get as much as they can out of the negotiations, and the National Party wants to protect themselves as much as possible, so they want compromises. The ANC wants compromises. So you're looking for conflict that derails or negotiations that takes the vision of democracy forward. You're also looking out for who are the role players. The role players could be an individual like Nelson Mandela or F.W. de Klerk, or the role players could be an organization such as the African National Congress or the National Party or another group. So that's what to look out for. That's what often comes up as line of arguments. Now, if we're going to do Road to Democracy, we obviously have to know a definition for Road to Democracy. So a democracy is a form of government where all people hold political power and can rule through elective representatives. The main thing is that in a democracy, people vote for their leaders and there is equality. They often hold the United States of America up as an example of democracy. Now remember though, that democracy is also informally known as for the people, by the people, of the people. So that's just a useful way to remember the work. Okay, so now we're ready to look at what do we include in the essay. So obviously this definition is going to go into paragraph 1. Often people start the essay with the definition of apartheid, but that unless they ask you, discuss how apartheid shaped the road to democracy, I wouldn't suggest you start with a definition for apartheid. So now you go to your first paragraph and you have to introduce the work, and the work is 1990 to 1994. So it would be a good idea to explain the work by comparing 1990 and 1994. So in 1990, the ANC was banned. By 1994, the ANC was the first ever black political party to rule South Africa. The ANC in 1990 was a freedom movement. By 1994, they were a political party. In 1990, Nelson Mandela was jailed. He was released on the 2nd of February, but at the start of 1990, he had been in jail. By 1994, he's the first ever black president of the democratic South Africa. So it's from prisoner to president. In 1990, the National Party was in control. They had been in control since 1948. And that's a long time for one group to be in control. But by 1994, they had given up their power. They had negotiated in order for there to be an election where they knew they would not win. There was fears of a civil war. The start of 1990, people were convinced that there was going to be a huge war in the streets of the country and that there would be much bloodshed and violence. But the National Party gave up their power and there was a peaceful transition. There was still death. In the period 1990 to 1994, there was unrest, there was loss of life, but it was not on the scale that one would have expected when one group is in power and another group is fighting to be in power. So they speak about the South African context in this period as a miracle. And they speak of it as a miracle because it is unusual for a country to bring about that amount of change with as little bloodshed as was what experienced and through negotiation. So often there's a coup d'etat or a civil war or a revolution to bring about change. And that is why this is considered a miracle. Now, that's paragraph 1. We're going to say some of the definitions. We're going to give some differences, and then we're going to move to paragraph 2. Now, there's a lot of content here, so we have to keep paragraph 2 very, very short. It's a background paragraph. I would suggest that you go and read VIA, page 232 to 253, and VIVA, page 226 to 270. Go and read those pages. Just skim read them, and that's going to give you an idea of the background. Now, I did cover this in class, but what you should look out for is to just very, very briefly, and you're looking at maybe 5 sentences here, just to show that there was internal and external pressure. So mention things like communism had come to the end. So the Berlin Wall came down. The Berlin Wall came down in 1989. That meant the ANC had lost their funding, and it meant that the National Party lost their excuse. Look out for boycotts, mass mobilization, and the fact that the liberal F.W. de Klerk had taken over the National Party and become its leader in 1989. So you'll just reference a couple of pointers there, not much. That'll be your paragraph 2. Go over this, read those pages, then you've got your background done. And when we next meet, I'll look at the main body of the essay. Hope that helped. Have a great day. Bye.